Welcome into Outkick the Show. I'm your fearless leader, Clay Travis, Monday edition. I hope all of you are having fantastic Mondays wherever you may be across the country. Your man, your boy, your bud here is the hardest working man in all of sports. Left on Wednesday night for London. Came back Sunday night from London, landed, came straight home. Knocked out Game of Thrones, also knocked out the entire reaction show to Game of Thrones. Much to dive into surrounding Game of Thrones. I'm getting angrier about this show. This has been an unmitigated mess, trending towards disaster of a final season for Game of Thrones. I'm going to tell you why. Kentucky Derby, speaking of unmitigated disaster. The Warriors-Rockets tonight. I think it's the NBA Finals. How do you bet it? I'll tell you. The XFL is headed to Fox and ESPN. Big news, big deal there. And I went to an EPL game in London. What was my review? It wasn't a great game, but I will tell you what I thought of going to see the game between West Ham United and Southampton. Lots to get to there, but we begin with the Kentucky Derby. So I tried to find the Kentucky Derby on television in London. Late at night. It was after midnight, and I was flipping around. Eventually, I just decided to watch it on a Reddit stream on my phone. I saw that Maximum Velocity or Maximum Intensity or Maximum whatever the hell its name was won, and I immediately turned off my phone, rolled over, and went to sleep. And so I didn't know. I turned off my phone. I love to turn off my phone because I can't do it very often because I wake up so early. So I turned off my phone, had no idea what happened. And then I woke up, my phone had blown up in the wake of that result to let me know that there had been a change. I'm going to speak here honestly. No idea if it was the right call. Nobody knows if it was the right call. Like 15 people in America know if it was the right call, and 15 million people have an opinion on whether or not it was the right call. I thought, I'll be honest with you, I thought horse racing was like stock car racing. I thought if you had the lead, it could be like on a go-kart track. You could just veer in and out wherever you wanted to try to keep somebody from passing you. I honestly thought that was the rule. Had no clue that wasn't the rule. I think the vast majority of people thought that was the rule, that it was like go-kart racing, that it was like NASCAR. You want to, like swing over in front of somebody, try to stop them from passing you. That's the rule. So I thought it was crazy that they changed the outcome. Notwithstanding that, maybe it's good for overall horse racing. And I had a discussion about this on the morning radio show, and I'm genuinely curious on this. I know the general consensus is that sports gambling becoming legalized is going to help all sports, but I do wonder if it's actually going to cut into the audience for horse racing for this reason, because 95% of the reason that horse racing even exists now is for gambling. If you took away gambling from horse racing, the sport effectively wouldn't exist, right? I mean, that's just the 2 cents of it. So I wonder now that you're going to be able to bet on everything. Shout out to Montana, Iowa, Indiana, Tennessee, all about to legalize as well. When everybody can bet on everything, whether that's going to help horse racing or whether it's going to hurt it, because all people do is watch for like 2 minutes. So I don't know the exact outcome and what it's going to be, but the sport wouldn't exist without gambling. And once gambling becomes commonplace everywhere, 2 options, and I'm not sure what the answer is. Does horse racing get an influx of interested observers because it's easier to gamble? Or does the overall proliferation of gambling make it less exotic and interesting that you can bet on horse racing, thereby driving down the overall level of interest in the sport? Because right now, the Triple Crown drives it. And for people who love the Derby, more power to you. It's a great experience. I like going to watch a horse race, but I bet on the Derby with no knowledge. I have at least some knowledge on my college football, my NFL, my NBA, my college basketball, every other pick that I make, I have some knowledge on. Horse racing, I'm betting blind. And I think the vast majority of people are as well. So when you can, somebody just said, can I bet on Usain Bolt? When you can start betting easily on every Olympic race, are you going to be as interested in betting on horse racing? I don't know if a rising tide is going to lift all boats in the world of gambling, because all it's going to do is equalize the level of gambling on that sport. So we'll see. We'll see whatever ends up happening here. I'm intrigued to see the overall outcome there. All right, I'm fired up about this. Game of Thrones had almost 2 years to get the final 6 episodes right. And the first 4 of this season have been really bad collectively. Last night, there are several things in particular that are driving me even more crazy a day after than they did on the day of. First of all, why is Bran just staying at Winterfell when the army should be traveling with him and allowing him to use his warging ability to look ahead and see what the opponent is doing, whether it's Euron Greyjoy with his fleet of ships or whether it is Cersei inside of King's Landing, inside of the palace? Why would you not want the best possible reconnaissance available if you were the army of Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen? I don't understand this at all. It's driving me insane. Second, there are lots of plot points that make no sense and are really poorly written and designed. Let me give you an example. Last night, we had the dragon get hit by the dragon shooting machine, right? As we were watching, it seemed like the situation was, oh, how could the dragons have known that Euron Greyjoy was waiting there? But that was just a trick of the camera perspective. A dragon, theoretically, and Daenerys should have seen the ships long before the ships were shooting at Daenerys, right? So the fact they couldn't shoot at the dragons until they saw the dragons, how in the world is the dragon not able to go higher into the sky and avoid the spears? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then Daenerys gets angry when the dragon gets hit, and she charges at the ships, and then she pulls back, and the dragon miraculously dodges every single one of the spears. That doesn't make any sense either. How are you able to dodge the spears from a short distance, but you're not able to dodge the spears from a long distance? Then she flies away, and she's not able to be hit again. Meanwhile, the logistics on this show continue to drive me insane. Jon Snow leaves with Davos with half the men, and we have time for Daenerys to travel all the way to her homeland, to have a war council, to lose a dragon, for Euron to travel all the way back to the King's Landing, and then for Daenerys to leave the town she's in and travel all the way to the gates of the city, and still Jon Snow is not there. Somebody needs to explain, did Jon Snow just march into oblivion? Did he go the wrong direction, leaving Winterfell? I don't understand it at all. All right, as if that were not enough, at the end of the episode, we have the confrontation between Daenerys and Cersei. And this makes absolutely no sense to me. Tyrion walks forward after talking with Qyburn, right? The new king's hand for Cersei. Where does Qyburn go? Theoretically, when you get Missandei's neck chopped off, wouldn't Daenerys grab Qyburn and take him prisoner and kill him? Instead, Qyburn completely disappears while Tyrion is standing there arguing with with Cersei. Furthermore, why would Cersei not attack that limited amount of troops and the dragon when she's got all the dragon spears lined up and she has all of her army there? Why would she not attack, divide, and conquer the army of Daenerys? She's proven that she doesn't care about societal norms by slitting the throat of Missandei. Why wouldn't she go ahead and attack? There's no logical sense for the two sides to just be staring at each other. It's totally ridiculous. Furthermore, why would nobody, after the first dragon gets hit by the spear and they're making all this dragon glass and all this battle armor, not put battle armor on the dragons? This has been driving me insane for a couple of years now. If you knew that they were designing anti-dragon weapons and you had a dragon, why would you not battle cat that dragon up like back in He-Man and cover it in armor? It doesn't make any sense. You have a tremendous asset that you need to protect because it's your most valuable asset, and you don't put any armor on it? This is like having a tank without armor. This is like a knight having a sword without wearing battle armor. It's the simplest idea I've ever heard of. Furthermore, if Bran were doing his job and actually warging, they could have eliminated Euron Greyjoy's entire fleet because Daenerys could have flown up high in the sky, come down on the backside of the fleet, and wiped them all out while they were facing the forward part of the fleet and trying to figure out what's going on there. Also, how in the world did Varys, who can barely walk, manage to survive the attack and not drown? All of this is driving me insane. Finally, a couple of other things that are also driving me insane. Jon Snow says, I'll tell you a super secret, but you can't tell anyone. Sansa holds the secret for one day. Am I the only person that knew that Sansa was not going to hold that secret? Is this crazy world? And then finally, why in the world does Jaime decide he's going to stay with Lady Brienne and then lose his mind when he suddenly realizes what? That Euron Greyjoy killed one of the dragons and rushed back down to go to back down to see Cersei in King's Landing. The story just doesn't make sense. It's really poorly written, and that honestly is why that coffee cup in the scene inside of Winterfell is such a metaphor for everything that is wrong with this season. It's just lazy, slapdash, poorly put together. I don't know what they've been doing for the last 18 months. Maybe they've been working on these new shows as opposed to finishing up this one, because it's not good. It's not written well. It's not well crafted. And somehow finding out that there was a coffee cup in that scene is just evidence of how lazy they've been with the whole show. Do you know how many people would have to miss that coffee cup and not see it in order for it to end up in the cutting room edit? 1,000 people, maybe more, including all the actors and actresses who might have been thinking, hey, maybe this Starbucks cup shouldn't be on the table in a medieval fantastical drama. It's indefensibly, collapsibly stupid. It's unbelievable how bad this is. And finally, Jon Snow has a heart. How is he going to roll out of town without saying bye to Ghost? There are only 2 characters that are any good so far this year, and they haven't been on the screen very much. Bran, who is incredible every time he opens his mouth, and Tormund. Everybody else has been an unmitigated disaster in this year's Game of Thrones. Arya maybe is just okay, but I didn't like the way she killed the Night King. It's a poorly written, poorly plotted, poorly finished finale to what should have been an epic experience for everybody who's invested 67 hours in this show as you return for the final season. They had a year and a half to get it right, and this is pathetic how poorly they have tied everything together so far. Maybe the final 2 episodes will be superb, but so far I have no belief that that's going to be true. I think this is what happened when they started to run out of the source material in the books. They started trying to sketch together a finale to the story without the depth behind it, and the result is you can tell. Hemingway said that a good story is like an iceberg. You only see the part of the iceberg above the water, but there has to be a huge residue, a huge foundation of that iceberg below the water in order for the story to work. There is no foundation to the Game of Thrones iceberg. Winter may have come, but it did not come for this plot line. And as a result, it just hasn't been good. All right, Warriors-Rockets going on tonight. I'm telling you right now, Warriors are going to win running away. I'm big on Steph Curry. Remember when Kevin Durant had his I am Kevin Durant moment, and he came out and he just took control, and everybody said, holy crap, Kevin Durant's the best player in the NBA. Right now, the 5 best players in the NBA playoffs remaining, in this order, in my opinion: Kevin Durant, James Harden. Certainly what Kawhi Leonard is doing is incredible. Giannis and Jokic. Those are the 5 best players remaining on the 8 teams in the playoffs right now. Durant is head and shoulders above everybody else. But again, Durant 1, Harden 2, Kawhi 3 with what he's done so far. I've got in the 4 spot Giannis, and in the 5 spot I have got Jokic. Those are the 5 best players right now. Lillard, I understand, has made a case with the most iconic single play with his 50-point game when he drained the 3 to eliminate the Oklahoma City Thunder and wave goodbye. He's just outside my top 5, but those are the big 5, all right? Those are my belief for the best 5. I think the Warriors win tonight, and I think they close it out in Game 5 against the Rockets. I hope I'm wrong, because to me, this is effectively the NBA Finals, and it just happens to be occurring in the semifinals of the Western Conference. And whoever wins this Rockets and Warriors series is going to win the NBA Finals. I think the Warriors win tonight. They could have won to go up 3-0, but for a poor conclusion, Steph Curry falling apart. And I'm betting big. You're going to hear it on Lock It In. I am betting big on everything surrounding Steph Curry tonight. I'm on the over for his point total. I'm on the over for his 3-pointers made. I think he's going to come out and have an I am Steph Curry game. Also going to watch the Celtics and the Bucks. I'm on the Celtics. Celtics, by the way, best chance of any team in the East to actually beat Golden State, but I don't think they'll do it. That's my plays tonight. Celtics and the Warriors. All right, this is a huge deal. I told you guys that this is likely to happen. And now it's been officially announced. The XFL is going to ESPN and Fox, ABC, and FS1. This is massive. Vince McMahon has put together one hell of a spectacular team. Zero doubt about this distribution gamble that he has entered into. I think it is going to do fantastically well. And I think the reason is going to be because of the overall setup, which is going to be fabulous beyond all doubts, all right? Here is the reason why I think it is going to be so good. I think that these games and where they are occurring is going to be a huge difference maker. And let me dive into this. The games in Week 1 are going to be on ABC and Fox. ABC and Fox every Saturday starting the week after the Super Bowl are going to have games on at 2 o'clock Eastern and 5 o'clock Eastern, basically the entirety from February the 8th all the way up through April the 11th. And then the championship games are going to be on the playoffs, Fox, and ESPN. This is big. This is really big. I also love the play by Fox and ESPN because they're actually not having to spend hardly anything on this. This is a let us prove that we have an audience for spring football move by the XFL if the league produces an audience. That's the question. Will television viewers tune in substantial enough numbers to justify the league? If they do, then there's going to be a lot of money made by Vince McMahon here because sports programming in the spring, I believe there will be a huge demand for it. Getting ESPN and Fox signed up, I would buy stock in the XFL right now if I could. Because I think what the AAF showed is there's enough demand for this overall spring product. Remember, the AAF's first game with virtually no promotion on CBS beat out the NBA's Game of the Week. That was the only game that aired on CBS. After that, you had to find it on CBS Sports Network. You had to find it on the NFL Network. It was really difficult to find these games. Now they are all going to be on major broadcast network television, ABC, Fox, ESPN, FS1. It's all going to be easy to find. I think the XFL is going to do fabulously well. And remember, starting next year, the XFL will be able to sign freshmen and sophomores who are already stars. So if they want to take big swings, they could theoretically let a star sophomore finish his college football career, play a game in the playoffs, finish the playoffs, and then come directly in their camp and sign as a pro and play for a year or more. They can sign freshmen too. So theoretically, and I've used this as an example, Trevor Lawrence could go from playing in the playoffs for Clemson to signing a huge deal with the XFL and start making money instead of staying at Clemson for another year. and he could have left after his freshman year. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I think that will do well. So I like the XFL. I would buy stock in it. I understand some people are more ambivalent. They're less convinced about the possibilities. I think the AAF proved that there's great possibility here. And I think the demand for live sports, football in particular, is still not being fully met. I think this league will do well. I think Fox and ESPN are going to be very happy with the fact that they invested virtually nothing and stand to create a lot of value. Somebody said there is no fandom. So there's football, and you have fans of individual players, and you can gamble on it. This is going to be a big deal. People want to gamble on football. They will watch in big numbers just to gamble. And remember, it doesn't have to be huge. All it has to do is be 1/15th as big as the NFL, and it's going to be considered a pretty big success. So can this league be 7% of what the NFL is? I think it can. Can this league be 8% of what the NFL is? I think it can. So I am optimistic. I am bullish on this league in general. Finally, I was in London. And I had an incredible time overseas. Flew over on Wednesday night, came back on Sunday. Saturday, I went to my first ever EPL game. I went to go watch Southampton play against West Ham United. I went to go watch that game because it was the only one going on Saturday. I understand there were games on other days. I couldn't go to those games because your boy only took off 2 days of work, Thursday and Friday, flew overseas, hung out, had an awesome time, nearly was there for the birth of the new royal baby, and then came back and was ready to roll Sunday night with Game of Thrones, watching, reacting, doing a live column. So I think right now that the EPL, if they could add a team in New York City, would really, really expand their base here because I loved everything about it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a lot of fun to go to the game. It was in the London Stadium, had 60,000 fans there, and the atmosphere was phenomenal. The taunting between the Southampton fans and the West Ham United fans was awesome. West Ham won 3-0 as all the Southampton fans were leaving. They were giving it to them, and it was phenomenal. And by the way, that will never happen, guy. I don't ever want to see that will never happen, okay? That is a total pussy willow move, all right? That is a mosquito dick line of thinking. That will never happen if you have seen Donald Trump get elected president. Should never be on your flowchart of probabilities. We vastly underestimate the probability of things that happen. So that will never happen, guy. Is happy to make $35,000 a year. He sits around in his 2-bedroom apartment that's not even in that good of a part of the town that he lives in. He tells everybody every time they have a unique or creative idea, that will never happen. And for the rest of his life, he will watch other people make things happen. Do not be that will never happen guy. That's how you end up never happening in your own life. Be that could happen guy. It's infinitely better. Infinitely better, trust me. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. If I had told you there was going to be an NFL team here, a NHL team here, a MLS team here 20 years ago, a lot of you would have said, oh, that'll never happen. If I had told you that an unknown guy, state senator from Illinois, was going to be elected president in 2008, and his name was going to be Barack Obama, a lot of you said that would never happen. If I had told you that Donald Trump was going to be elected president in 2016, running against Hillary Clinton, a lot of you would have said that will never happen. Don't be that will never happen guy, because very frequently, if history teaches us anything, it's much more likely to happen than never happen. So I am of the opinion that I hope you guys get a chance to watch an EPL game. I thought it was fantastic. I loved every minute of it. I hope to go back for a bigger match at some point in the future. I love London, by the way. Great undervalued city. By the way, how about a direct flight between Nashville and London? You know what people said when that was initially talked about? That'll never happen. Guess what? Got on a plane at Nashville's airport, got off in Heathrow, both ways, nonstop. Guess what? Believe in things that can happen instead of focusing in things that might not happen. Love all of you guys. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. I'm going to be live in 24 minutes giving you more gambling picks on Lock It In, sports gambling TV show. By the way, state of Tennessee, just legalized online sports gambling. That will never happen, guy. A lot of you out there looking bad. This guy, coming a multimillionaire, writing and talking about sports, that will never happen, guy. Made it happen. Kisses. D-Bat. See y'all.